Brian Claypool joining us right now. He has looked at Merrick Garland a little closely here, and you know by now all the back and forth, Brian, on whether they should even have hearings or push them off. You're saying, though, that it's the guy you've been looking at, his track record you've been looking at, that there's reason for concern separate from the reason for not even having confirmation hearings. What do you think for Republicans, even if they change their minds and had hearings now, that could prove problematic for Garland?
Well, here's the problem, Neil. Most average folk across the country, including me, are fed up with the partisanship in Washington. They're fed up with the Democrats fighting with the Republicans. You know, a couple days ago, your network had the exit polls on the Tuesday primary. In all 5 states, Neil, over 50% of voters said they feel like the federal government is betraying them. There's no trust. There was a poll that came out last night. 60% of people in this country want to have a bona fide, fair hearing to see whether Merrick Garland should be appointed by the Senate as a nominee. Now, you tell me, with that message from the people across this country, how is it that the Republican Party, Mitch McConnell, and then there was another senator that came out and said that Garland would be like a human piñata if this hearing went forward. Now, that is not the message that people are sending Congress. So why is it that the Republican Party continues to do this? This is playground politics, either my way or the highway.
Well, you know,
people don't want that, Neil.
No, I actually agree with you. I think if they don't like the guy or they have reservations about the guy, have confirmation hearings, get into it, and in that case, vote down the guy if you don't like him. But they're not even giving that chance. That's neither here nor there at this point. You're quite right. It's part of the kabuki theater, and hey, you know, the Democrats did it to us, we're going to do it to them. But let's say somehow history changes itself and they agree on hearings, fearing, let's say, a Hillary Clinton win where she could submit a far more liberal name. You argue there's a lot in Garland's background that could prompt a no vote from Republicans, right? I mean, his view on defense, his view on immigration. But, of course, we won't know that because we're not holding hearings.
Right, exactly. I mean, also his view on gun control, his chastising the Second Amendment. He voted against having private citizens having guns. So that would pose a problem for the Republicans approving him. He also was against the Heller decision. So those are problems that Garland faces if there is a hearing. But the point I'm trying to impart is we should at least have a hearing. There's a duty. I mean, most people go to work every day like you and I. We work hard. We can't abdicate our job for a year. I mean, imagine if this went into January of next year, and let's say that Trump does win. Then we've got to wait a few more months for approval. And what if he's not approved then? Then we're looking into next summer. We're going to go a year and a half without a Supreme Court justice.
I always tell Republicans, as I told Democrats, be careful what you wish for, because if the shoe's on the other foot, if it's, you know, a Republican coming in the last year of his term, are you going to say the same thing? No Supreme Court submissions. We have to wait till the will of the people in the next election. By that definition, we write off the last year of a president's term, a senator's term, a congressman. We already behave that way anyway. Why add insult to injury, right?
Right, absolutely. And one more thing I wanted to mention, Neil, is you know, if the Republicans don't at least have a hearing for Garland, it's kind of like a basketball game. You know, when 2 players are scuffling, the referee always calls that foul on the last incident they see, the player making the last punch. And here, my fear is that if the Republicans rebuke this, they don't even have a fair due process hearing for Garland, that they're going to throw the last punch, and the referee in this general election is the entire country, all the voters out there, and they're going to make the final call on this, and maybe the Republican nominee, if it's Trump, he might suffer grave consequence as a result of this.
No, I think you're exactly right. I think, and I also think that it's part and parcel of our process here, where each side blames the other. But this is an enormous opportunity for Republicans to stand up and say, we know the political gamesmanship isn't played. We're not going to do it. We're just not going to do it. And I think that would send a powerful message to people. But they're not doing that.
Yes.
All right, Brian, great job. I appreciate your insights.